Each candidate will have 4 minutes to speak. After that, I only have 25 minutes left for questions since there's about 4 candidates. So that means there are only going to be 3 questions asked. And then each candidate will get 2 minutes to answer those questions. So I advise everyone to be really concise and stick with your time. Okay, so we're going to begin with candidate speeches. I'm going to name off everyone in order of last name alphabetically. So if Sirleen Grant is ready, please give your 4-minute speech. Please unmute yourself, Sirleen.
It's not letting me.
There you go.
There I go. Okay. All right. Hi, everyone. Good morning. Good morning. Thank you for this opportunity. 4 minutes is a long time. So either I'll go short or I'll go long. I don't know, because I think I have a long time. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Sirleen Grant. I am a lifelong Democrat. I've been living in Alameda County since I was a young adult, right out of college. I grew up on the peninsula and moved over here to work in Oakland at the time for the Bay Area Urban League. So pretty much with the few exceptions of some time of working in Sacramento, I have lived in this county the whole time. Lived and worked in Alameda County the whole time. I am by profession a public affairs, public information, public involvement consultant working on housing, transportation, construction, and other types of projects that impact our built environment. And I work in environmental justice realm as well, giving, thank you for that, giving voice and access to people who often don't have access into the decision-making rooms around the table. So I make room at the table for everyone's voice to be heard. And I am motivated at this point in time for this seat by just that very thing. There's a group of people I'm working with in an affordable housing complex that were served a foreclosure notice by the state of California on the same day that the governor was in Santa Clara celebrating affordable housing, and the county has a role in that. And so I started working with them. And that, along with my other work and my other advocacy, I decided that I wanted to run for the county supervisor position. I want to represent people. Unfortunately, because of circumstances, the position became available, and it came available by someone who is a champion for the people. And so I too want to be that champion for the people. I have been on the San Leandro City Council for 10 years. I was the first person of any color to sit in that position. As such, I opened the doors for others to come after me. I've connected communities. I convened an organization called Unity in the Community, which was co-founded by even some of your members here, to bring attention to and solutions to racism and bigotry and problems of that sort regarding hate in our county. So my primary concerns are affordable housing, but not just affordable housing, like we need more housing in production, we do, but how we're going to keep people in their homes, not only because the moratorium is going to be lifted, but because of the hard times that people are having right now with just trying to make ends meet. Public safety and mental health are also my concerns. We cannot criminalize mental health. We need to make sure that people are getting the attention that they need. I feel like we need navigators walking among us. We need a public education just among not even those who are severely and known mentally ill, but among all of us who are just working with each other as we come out of COVID. And of course, the Alameda health system. We need to look at the administration and the bureaucracy of it. So the system serves well, but often people get caught up in the bureaucracy. So those are my 3 main points. That's a little bit of who I am. Again, I support many of you in your work that you do, and I hope that you will support me in the work that I am seeking to do. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you for keeping to your time. Next, we have David Kakashiba.
Good morning, everybody. My name is David Koshiba, running for Alameda County Supervisor for District 3. Thank you very much for this opportunity to meet with folks. I believe that the Democratic Party needs to support more working class people to represent working class people. I am the son of immigrants from Japan, and my parents are gardeners. My family is from a gardening background, or rather occupation. My wife is parents are immigrants from Mexico. They are also of working class background. Our children were raised here in this San Antonio neighborhood in Oakland. They went to neighborhood schools. We did not transfer them out elsewhere. We are committed to our neighborhood schools to make them better for everybody, for all working class families living in the neighborhood. For the last 40 plus years, I have been living and working with thousands of young people and their families in San Antonio Fruitvale neighborhood through the East Bay Asian Youth Center, a youth development nonprofit organization serving 2,500 young people every day. I served 12 years on the Oakland School Board as an extension of that work in the community to represent and to give voice and power to families that were locked out of the decision-making process in the Oakland School District. We spent several years to extricate ourselves out of state receivership, and we got that, and we fended off a major selling off of land by the state superintendent, and we were able to make good our promise to parents at La Escuelita Elementary School to replace their schools that were all in portable bungalows on a street and build a $75 million K through 12 education complex. I wrote the two ballot measures. One is the Measure K, the 1996 Kids First Initiative, that established a budget set aside for children and youth services in the midst of the greatest epidemic of youth violence in the history of Oakland. That measure today guarantees $20 million a year that goes out to children and youth and family services throughout the city. I wrote Measure N, the College and Career Readiness Act for All, which invests over a 10-year period, $120 million of new money to every single Oakland high school. 90% of all monies goes directly to schools, and the spending is determined by school leadership teams. And the idea is to build out wall-to-wall high-quality career pathways so that every student has access to that. And to this day, since its implementation in 2015, Oakland Unified has registered a double-digit increase in high school graduation rates. Never before has Oakland been able to do that. Thank you very much for your time and for this opportunity.
Thank you, David, and thank you for sticking with your time. Next, we have Rebecca Kaplan.
Good morning, Democrats, and thank you so much for the invitation to come before you today as I seek your endorsement for Alameda County Supervisor. It is a great honor to be with you again and to continue our really important work together over the years, fighting for justice and basic services for our community. My name is Rebecca Kaplan, and I'm honored to serve as your Oakland City Council member at large and Vice Mayor. And prior to that, I served as the elected at-large director on the board of AC Transit. And so in my elected roles, I have represented all of the constituents of Alameda County District 3. I grew up in Toronto, Canada, and came out in the late 1980s at the age of 17. I was the first openly LGBT person to run for office in Oakland, and we have fought for important improvements, including against anti-trans harassment and including for services for LGBT youth and homeless people. I did my undergraduate work at MIT, where I fought for peer HIV and AIDS education. And that work, talking to people about condoms when many were afraid to say that word, is part of why now in this pandemic, I find it not awkward at all to say, please wear a quality mask like an N95 or KN95 when you're indoors around people outside your household so we can keep each other safe. I worked to bring over 500 students to the March on Washington for Reproductive Freedom and fought to get successfully my campus to divest from apartheid era South Africa. I did a master's in urban and environmental policy at Tufts University and went to Stanford for law school, where I had the honor to study with Michelle Alexander, author of The New Jim Crow, and worked for prisoner legal services, fighting against mass incarceration and for the rights of inmates. I worked at Altshuler Burzon, a law firm for the rights of workers who were being abused by their bosses. And I recognize the importance to this day of fighting against these abusive cuts. Recently in Oakland, we built a broad coalition to fight against proposed cuts to Head Start, and we saved that program. I have had the courage and the commitment to stand up to bullying billionaires and initiated a successful lawsuit against the Warriors in which we won $50 million back for public services in our community. And with this year's allocation, we were able to save the fire stations that had been proposed for closure. I will continue to bring that courage and that commitment. In Oakland, we initiated the launch of civilian crisis responders, now called MACRO, so that we don't send an armed response to mental health and homelessness calls. And we need to expand that type of support throughout our community. We passed the law banning OPD from colluding with ICE on immigration harassment, and we banned tear gas against demonstrators. I know that our underserved communities often face the worst of the cuts, the worst of the air pollution, and the worst of the disparate impacts. And my commitment is to fight for everyone's needs, including the unincorporated areas who have often been neglected. And I will respect as supervisor my obligation to represent the entire area. We know that the Board of Supervisors controls the overwhelming majority of funding for homeless services, for public health, and I will work to expand coordination between the city and the county to improve our delivery of homeless services and to use public land for public good, including by increasing housing, including the use of tax auction properties. I'm very honored to be endorsed by the Wellstone Democratic Renewal Club, the Firefighters Unions, SEIU Local 10-1, the Asian Pacific American Labor Alliance, Jeffrey Pete, Elihu Harris, the Honorable Sandre Swanson, and many more. I'd be very honored to have your vote today. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And last but not least, we have Lena Tan.
Good morning, and thank you for the opportunity to be considered for endorsement. I am Lena Tan. I'm the current chair of the Alameda County Asian Pacific American Democratic Caucus. I'm running for the Alameda County Board of Supervisors with a very deep and profound sense of responsibility and determination to improve county services for working families and also help serve as the bilingual voice for our large and growing Asian American community, similar to the role that the late Supervisor Wilma Chan had in our county. I want to address the issues of homelessness and housing, community safety, and healthcare, especially mental health care access. I've worked in Oakland Chinatown for the past 30 years at the East Bay Mud Building as an environmental engineer, where I have benefited from representation by unions like AFSCME Local 2019 and IFPTE Local 21. I have been on the board of the Oakland Chinatown Chamber of Commerce and the Alameda County League of Women Voters, advocating for projects like safety, pedestrian safety, voting rights, and stopping AAPI hate crimes. I have the lived experience of being the daughter of immigrant parents who relied on bilingual county health services. I have a proven track record of working collaboratively as an elected official and an appointed official to address many of the priority issues at the county. As Vice Mayor of the City of Alameda, I passed resolutions condemning harassment of our LGBT and BIPOC community, and together with Mayor Marie Gilmore, approved low-income senior housing and converted an old hotel into 61 units of workforce housing. As the president of the City of Alameda Healthcare District Board of Directors governing Alameda Hospital, we achieved labor peace with our 6 unions and established an infusion center to meet the healthcare needs of the autoimmune, along with a women's healthcare center. As chair of the Alameda County Planning Commission, I approved 2,400 housing units near transit while preserving open space in the unincorporated area. As a water resources engineer at East Bay Mud, I developed plans that prioritize water and sewer services for low-income housing and put in place climate resiliency and emergency action plans for the East Bay. I was honored to have been Wilma Chan's Woman of the Year when she was in the state legislature, and I'm honored to have the endorsement of many of my role models, like State Controller Betty Yee, State Treasurer Fiona Ma, County Assessor Fong Ma, County Auditor Melissa Wilkes, Supervisor Dave Brown, former Supervisor Alice Baker, April Chan and Jennifer Ong from the Municipal Advisory Councils of the unincorporated area, and many community leaders throughout the county. I would be honored to earn your endorsement to build the coalitions that will advocate to protect our seniors, address the needs of our homeless, and expand healthcare. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, everyone.